Welcome to the Talk Sox podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm here with Adam and Maddie. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Oh, season's over. Shut it down.
I will say, for actually having attended today's game, the Red Sox lost so quickly that I was able to come home, take a nap, do a small bit of grocery shopping, and still make it in plenty of time to record this podcast. So it's
That's fantastic.
Yeah, really, they really did.
I'm glad they did that for you, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, on Saturday's game, I was sort of amazed at. It was a full 3-hour game, and the first 3 innings really seemed to drag, at least for me. And then today's game, it was just like I felt like 3 innings were over, and they were having the 7th inning stretch. So
Yeah.
It was quite a contrast, but similar results.
Yeah. We have our new rundown here on if you're watching the YouTube video, that we'll try to stick to. So I guess let's start with opening day, because that's really the only highlight that I think that we can come up with.
Well, that's why I put low lights first, because I knew that when we discussed it in Slack, the first thing that happened was, besides Devers, what else do we want to talk about tonight? And
Yeah.
I think that you can't really start anywhere but Devers. I was telling Maddie before recording that on Saturday, when Devers grounded out, some Red Sox fans behind me cheered that it wasn't a strikeout, and they were high-fiving each other and stuff. So the strikeout streak to start the season was quite impressive for Devers, I guess. And
historic.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys watch the TV broadcast, I'm assuming. So what did you guys see from it?
Maddie, you want to take first stab at it?
Yeah, so some new metrics came out to measure players' stance in the batter's box, and it looks like Devers he already has a very wide open stance, and now he's standing even farther back, placing his right foot almost on the edge of the batter's box, and that makes him more prone to not hitting breaking balls and off-speed pitches. So we're seeing that with all the strikeouts he's amassed so far in 4 games.
Yeah. That was one thing that I thought was really interesting. You have to think that when he is making contact, that it's going to sap his power too, because his hips are already open now, and there's no torque coming through. And I think that's why we're seeing his bat speed. I think today Merlone said was about 3 to 3.5 miles per hour slower than it has been, which explains why he's not catching up to these fastballs. I couldn't believe Jacob deGrom fed him nothing but fastballs. That seemed to be the thing that would have been the best plan, in my opinion. It wasn't last season he went through that slump, or 2 seasons ago he went through that slump where he couldn't touch anything high and inside, and we're in the exact same situation now. Until he proves that he can touch them, I don't know why anybody would show him anything different. The long foul ball in the top of the 9th, I think, is somewhat encouraging. That was the best swing and the best contact he had all series. And I think it was Loomer that brought it up too. He closed his stance off the later the game got. He lowered his hands from yesterday to today, which looked a little more comfortable. He was still behind. He was still swinging from his heels quite a bit. But I think lowering his hands is going to help with his bat speed, because it's not. I mean, his stance is so weird anyway. It's not the Euclid style weird, but he's got to bring his hands down before he can swing. And so I think if he's playing, because today they were pretty much right there with his chin, maybe a little lower. And I think that if he keeps his hands there and he closes his stance off a little bit, I think it'll be fine. I'm not worried yet. Okay. I think this is spring training rust, or the lack of spring training rust.
Yeah.
Maybe had he gone to Mexico, then he could have worked some of this out. And I'm not saying that he would have faced Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom types in Mexico, but it was at least 2 other games where you can get some live swings in. And I think the difference between him and Wilyer is apparently Wilyer was taking like 3 sets of live at bats every day that he was trying to come back on the backfields. And we're seeing that pay dividends for him. Whereas Rafi and Casas, who really doesn't have a reason, are pressing really, really bad. And what Casas has 1 hit so far. Now he got squeezed really bad all series too. And so you have to think that if he wasn't as reliant on his eye to watch balls as he is, that maybe we'd be talking about a different story. But that strike zone pretty much all series was hot garbage.
Yeah, I think the Bush family probably paid off those umps.
Absolutely, especially on the Crochet start.
Yeah, I mean, I was before we started again, I was saying to Maddie that you guys would have a much better idea of how the strike zone looked than I did, way out in left field. But the people around me seem to think that the Red Sox were getting exactly what they deserved, and the Rangers were getting squeezed. So, I mean, that's it's pretty much
were
how
the
it goes.
boos as loud in person when Bregman walked up as they were on the broadcast?
Yeah. The boos were really impressive. Like I mean, I would say that the crowd was probably somewhere around 50-50, like Red Sox and Rangers fans. So like it was pretty close, and there were a couple good "Let's go Red Sox" cheers that Rangers fans tried to drown out, and sometimes were successful, sometimes weren't. But the amount of boos when Bregman came up, I were just like, where were you guys for the "Let's go Rangers" chant? Like, it's just, it was crazy.
It was every at bat, all series.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just like the first at bat, because I thought that, the first at bat that I saw of his, I thought like, okay, first at bat of the game, new fans getting, their opportunity to boo, whatever. But yeah, it was even like the last at bat on Sunday, it was maybe the loudest I had heard, and I was just like, wow, they really hate him. So it's impressive. Yeah. And I wonder if that's a Texas thing or if that's going to be everywhere.
It's going to be every park but Fenway.
I'm going to be interested to see it.
Go crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
maybe in Houston he probably won't get booed. There'll be a little bit, but I think that they will show him a decent amount of respect. Because that was the front office who didn't bring him back.
But most fans aren't that cognizant.
Yeah, I think that there was enough of there's been enough of a storyline of like him like sort of taking less money and stuff to come to the Red Sox because like he really wanted to be a Red Sox, that like I could see Houston maybe like his first at bat, giving him a cursory cheer of his first at bat in a new uniform kind of thing, but then booing him for the rest of the time.
If he goes yard in that first at bat, it'll be relentless for the rest of the series.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, people behind me were screaming about trash cans and stuff, and I was like, you guys really remember it. That's great. It's been like 7 years, but good for them. Really,
if you get a piece of information, you just need to hold on to it forever.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting series to be in the park for, I think, because I guess it shouldn't surprise me. Red Sox fans are always really well versed, but just the amount of like some guy behind me was explaining to his friend on Saturday, Rafael is not starting. Like, he's a great defensive player, but like so streaky hitting. So I actually think this might be a better like hitting lineup going this way kind of thing. And I was like, these guys know what's going on. That is basically the same level of insight I bring to this podcast. So, good on you guys. So the
patience that we saw from Rafael in spring training is gone. He has swung at like 18 of 20 pitches.
I mean, when you talk about like the lowlights of the weekend, it has to just be the strikeouts, right? Like that was the whole idea.
I mean, the entire top of the order.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand.
Bregman's notoriously slow at the start of the season. That's a hallmark. But Casas has never really gotten off to like a banger start. But I mean, Duran looks good.
Yeah, Duran did look good.
I thought Stories looked okay. Bregman seems to be settling in. Devers looks awful. Casas looks awful.
Yeah, and I sort of
the thumpers are just not there.
Yeah,
I understand that
32 times in the series.
Right. Yeah,
minus Abreu and Campbell, and they left 32 runners on base.
Yeah, just nothing with runners on. There was nothing.
Yeah, and and just it felt like every time there were runners on base, it was Devers coming up.
Yeah,
and you're like maybe this is the time that he's going to break out, and it never was, and it never.
Top of the ninth, I'm standing there, like at my couch because I'm like doing stuff. My kids are outside playing. And I'm standing there, and I'm just like, just make contact. like if you don't hit the RBI, it's fine. Just make contact at this point. And then he drew the walk, and that's fine. But
yeah.
And I don't, Adam, you probably didn't see it, but Maddie, I'm sure you did on the broadcast. Like they were high-fiving him like crazy going into the dugout. And I think that at least working that walk at least shows that he's trying to not press. And so maybe he's getting out of his own head. Did you guys see the picture of Tech and him after the game?
Yeah.
No.
So it's like Ravi's like bent over with his head on the knob of the bat, and like Veritek's like leaning over him, consoling him.
Okay. I know how big of a Veritek fan you are, so I'm sure that's like would be a dream come true for you. But
yeah, I would pay money for that.
Yeah, I mean, what is there really to do except keep playing him? I do sort of wonder if the number 2 spot is going to be the best spot for him to be shaking the rust off. Like how long do you think they keep him at the top of the lineup before they consider moving him down a little bit?
I think the problem is where would you move him to? Because he would view it as an insult to go anywhere below 4. And you've already probably insulted him quite a bit this offseason.
Yeah.
So I think that you've got to keep him in that 2-3 spot. And I mean, statistically, the number 2 spot's where you want your best hitter. And that should be Devers. But it's obviously not right now. Right now would be Kristian Campbell.
Yeah. Or Abreu. I mean, those really. I was wondering.
Abreu's not starting tomorrow. Cora has come out and said that.
Okay. On Saturday when they pulled Abreu for a pinch hitter, was anything said about that? Was that like just a?
So I was just following on game day on the MLB app. I was working Saturday night, so I wasn't watching the broadcast.
Okay. Because everyone around me was like, why would you take out Abreu? He's the only guy really that's carrying this offense right now. And so I was like, God, I hope he's not injured or anything. But then obviously he came back and played today. So probably just wanted to mix it up, see what happened. But yeah, it was interesting to see Romy Gonzalez out there. I don't know if I really thought the first series of the year you'd get Romy, but he didn't look too bad, I guess.
I think he's not long for the roster when Marcelo or Roman make their case for why they need to be up here. I think, Gonzalez is probably the first man out the door.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a highlight of Major League opening weekend, but we were talking a little bit about Worcester highlights, and both of those guys had some big hits down on the farm,
ball,
right?
just sounds different coming off Roman Anthony's bat. Like if you watch the video of that home run from today, it almost sounds like it's metal. Like it just the thud off that bat is a sound that I have not heard before.
It sounds like a gunshot.
Maybe he's got a torpedo bat.
I almost put that on the rundown, but I was like, I don't know.
It'll get brought up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, those two guys obviously playing well 3 games into the season. So, I mean, it's an even smaller sample size than what we have from the Red Sox. But you do have to wonder, like, how long they keep them down there.
I think Anthony is May. I think he's up here in May.
Okay.
I've gone back and forth on this so much. Like, I did my 26 questions and for the 25 season, and in it I wrote about how Wilyer is probably the odd man out, and when Anthony comes up, Wilyer would more than likely be traded eventually. This was I wrote it Wednesday night, so the day before opening day, when Wilyer promptly comes out and hits 2 home runs. But legitimately, it got me thinking, like, what if the plan is to shift Rafaela into a utility role? And, Roman's playing, he played left opening day for Worcester, but he's been in center. If they think that he can legitimately man center field at Fenway, I don't know if I buy that. I think that I'd rather have Duran in center, keep Wilyer in right, and stick Roman in left. I think that there's a case. There's a very easy path to having the top 2 Rookie of the Year vote getters in Boston this season, in Campbell and Anthony. And I don't think Anthony stays down for more than a month. Marcelo, it's going to take an injury to Trevor Story or Alex Bregman, because he's played third some. Because as Cora came out and said, Devers is not playing third, no matter what.
Yeah, then also I thought about putting that on the rundown, but that was figured we'd probably get to that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're basically thinking that all of Devers' issues right now is just not having spring training, and not that he's on some sort of hitting strike or something to prove that he really needs to be playing the field to get hits. Right?
That's what I'm hoping.
Because I mean, you've heard it from other people before that some guys love DHing and some don't, because they need to have that constant stimulation of being out in the field, even if the ball's not getting hit to them, kind of thing. And I guess that was sort of like a thing that people talked about, maybe being an issue for Devers. But the way that he just looks so lost, you kind of wonder if that has anything to do with it. I guess we probably still do need to wait another couple of weeks to really be able to judge that, though.
I do. I think that's probably a couple weeks away conversation, but you may not be far off base. There are people in the Talk Sox comments and on Blue Sky and Facebook, they're saying make him the first baseman, shift Casas to DH. I think that's a wild line of thought. If he's struggling this bad because he's not playing third, shift him to first isn't going to make it better.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I think I first heard Alex Spear kind of bringing up this line of logic of Devers had a problem with people saying that he wasn't going to be playing third this season, because he needs to tell himself that he was playing third in order to keep that mentality and be able to be the best third baseman he could be, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is Cora's reason for coming out and saying Devers is our DH. He will be our DH for the entire season, kind of thing, is to, put him in that mindset of you don't need to think about well, next Saturday I'm going to be playing third or something, it's just he just needs to be in that mindset. And I can't imagine that if Alex Cora made it so clear that he's going to be playing DH this entire season, that then they're well, but maybe some first base here and there, position that you really have never played, How
do you feel about shortstop, Rafi?
I just, I think maybe you see Connor Wong go out to shortstop or something, but you're not going to see Rafi do it. So I think that, for better or worse, this is sort of the place that the Red Sox have gotten themselves into. And so I think it's going to work out eventually, but it is going to be interesting to see, because I think as as those zeros pile up, it's going to be a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm. And they're facing I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but they're facing a pretty soft starter with the Orioles tomorrow.
I mean, isn't that something that you could say about basically all of the Orioles starters at this point?
Yeah,
they didn't exactly group. They didn't really reinforce their starting lineup much, besides, I guess maybe you're afraid of Charlie Morton because of the, wily experience he has or something, but that's basically it.
The inability to throw over 93.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say this because I don't know, maybe we'll have time later, but I immediately thought of our conversations about the AL East when Max Scherzer left his first start with a lat strain or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just like we literally were just like, Max Scherzer, who knows what you're going to get out of him, and then immediately left his first start, and you're just like, yep.
I think it was somebody on Reddit that posted that they were so excited. They were at the game today too, and they're like, "I'm so excited to see one of Jacob deGrom's 5 starts this year."
Yeah, and I mean, if you are seeing one of his 5 stars, it wasn't a bad one. I don't think I was like, wow, vintage deGrom or anything, but like it was clearly good enough to get the win. And what did he end up having? Something like 7 strikeouts, I think, in the game or something like that. Like it was pretty good.
Went 5. His pitch count got up there pretty quick.
Yeah,
I think he was at 75 through 5. So yeah, that'll be what they need to watch. But I thought that he pitched well.
Also, who's the guy that closed out the game for the Rangers today? I'm blanking on his name, but he walks out to the 12-inch extended version of Madonna's "Like a Prayer." That is his walkout song. And so it's like it sounds kind of like a choral like version of "Like a Prayer." It is very interesting when they dim the lights, tell you to put your phone lights up, and it's just you just hear "Life is a Mystery" sung and like from a choir, and it's just like, what is going on right now? Which, I mean, a far cry from Chris Martin, who like walks out to a Big X the Plug song. Like, I think it's called "I'm from Texas," but it was quite a contrast between those two guys.
Interesting.
Chris Martin, though, I mean, he looked good. Mm-hmm. Both times I saw him, he looked really good.
I wish he was part of this bullpen.
Yeah, and I
get it. I understand why he went to Texas and took less money. I don't blame him, but man, I wish that he was in Boston right now.
I didn't think that Boston's bullpen was particularly terrible. Like that wasn't the reason that we lost these games. But
no, that was the starting pitching.
See, okay, so I do know that I saw you say that the starting pitching was meh, and to me, the starting pitching was okay. It wasn't. I don't think it was the reason we lost. The reason we lost is because we were scoring 2 to 3 runs a game at that at best.
Yeah.
The offense just really did not bring it, and that was sort of like the most surprising. That was probably the thing I was most surprised about, is how little offense we really got. Bregman had a couple of decent hits. Not really. He's not really hitting the ball with power right now. It was a lot of, finding the holes in the infield kind of thing for his hits. But, I hope his power stroke comes along. But otherwise, it was just, the offense was just really dead.
Yeah.
Besides, obviously, Kristian Campbell and Wilyer Abreu.
I guess Bregman's fly balls to left field probably would have been doubles off the monster. I don't think the Rangers ballpark was the best stadium for him to start off the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when it's funny because like I was sitting in left field, and from where I was sitting, you can definitely not see the corner. So like I could see like when Duran was out there, like you could see Duran, but then if he ever had to like go back for a ball, it was just like, well, it's anybody's guess what's happening there. So, so for, Bregman's hits, I would say that maybe one of them, I was like, sort of like on the edge of my seat of like, could that actually have been a hit / home run or something? And then, you kind of have to like look around and see who's cheering to figure out what really happened, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, hopefully in friendlier confines, yeah, you're going to see him, step up his power game a little bit and at least, get into that like a doubles groove, if not more home runs. So
Yeah,
as far as
you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, he notoriously gets off to a slow start. So in terms of like worrying about players, he's not high up on my list of
No, and
is
especially
this a
because like
problem?
if you quote unquote are getting off to like a slow start, but you're still one of the best offensive players for the first weekend series, like
The kid
great,
woke up. Sorry, I had to take my hat off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, wow, he's back Stan's hat. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to grab it.
But yeah, I think that I think that he'll be fine because he was he was like the second tier down of offensive player for the Red Sox. And honestly, I mean, obviously I've seen him play defense at third before, but seeing it in person, like he made some really great plays. Just like
There was one today where he was like at short and took it on the backhand side and clean throw to first. It was I'm excited that he's here and playing third.
Yeah, his arm is like better than I had thought or better than I had remembered. Like seeing it in person, I was like, oh wow, yeah, he's getting it over there. He's not, it's not on like it's not taking a weird hop right in front of Casas, like maybe we had gotten sort of used to. I think
that was the error that got us in the game today was the weird throw from third that skipped, and on the replay it looked like Berger tried to pick it like a half second too early, and had he not done that, he probably would have made the play. But
yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think that for whatever. Like, I don't think Casas is a bad first baseman, but like, I do think that having Bregman at third is going to make him grade out as a much better first baseman.
Yeah, I think having Bregman and Story both on that side of the infield is going to improve Casas's defensive numbers like crazy. Yeah. And once Campbell settles in, which I thought he looked pretty good at second. Once he settles in, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Yeah, I tried to pay attention to him a lot. And obviously because I was sitting in left field, like when he played left on Saturday, he was right in front of me. So I got to watch him kind of work out there. But I tried to pay attention to him when he was on the infield. And yeah, there were no plays where I was like, oh, he misjudged that or anything. He, I don't think he did anything that was like overly spectacular, like Bregman, who I really noticed his defense, but he also didn't do anything that made me think like he's a liability at second or something. So
I will say that I will buy a Campbell jersey the minute the extension is announced.
Wow, we are jumping right ahead on the rundown.
Sort of, but that just made me think about it. It like the second I did the same thing with Bayo. The second the Bayo extension was announced, I bought a jersey. And so I will do that with Campbell. But what was it like in the park for that home run, Adam?
It was exciting.
Would you say that last night's crowd was split 50-50 too, or was that more today?
No, last night's crowd was definitely split 50-50, and it was a fuller stadium. It was exciting. I think Red Sox fans were very excited for it, and it was again like sort of interesting because we know who Kristian Campbell is, and we've been paying attention to him and talking about him, but you never know, if these are just like Boston expats that are living in Texas now that are coming here for reminisce about seeing Red Sox games. It seemed like everyone actually knew who Kristian Campbell was and was excited that was his first home run. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. It was cool to see. It was cool to experience that with other Red Sox fans. So, yeah I think, he looked good. Like the whole series, he looked good. I mean,
know in the dugout, he was around Crochet and Fitz a lot that they showed on broadcast Friday night. I think it was Friday night. He was next to Crochet and Fitz almost every time he was in the dugout. I thought that was an interesting grouping of teammates.
Yeah, I mean, Fitz he would have played in the minors with, right? But Crochet, I don't know. I have no idea why. How he would even know Crochet. But that's cool. I mean, if we're talking, Kristian Campbell extensions, which, supposedly they're quote unquote deep in talks, whatever that really means, last I heard they wouldn't
they're deep enough that they gave him the okay to talk about it in the presser yesterday.
I guess that's true. Yeah. But I mean, they said they wouldn't call it close or like they wouldn't like classify it as close, which I'm sure is more just like pedantry than anything, but like it's still kind of like, okay, deep in talks but not close. What does that mean exactly?
It's like when Devers considered asking for a trade. Like you either ask or you don't.
Yeah, I know.
I thought about it that one time.
Yeah, like I asked my buddy, like, should I ask for a trade? And they were like, nah. I was like, okay.
I was like, oh, okay.
But I mean, maybe Campbell was like, hey, Garrett, I'm thinking about signing this extension. Are you thinking about signing any extensions?
And he was like, that's my agent's job.
I will not be distracted during the season with talk, even from
like,
you.
This is the distraction I was talking about.
So, yeah. And I mean, opening day, it's a day game, which kind of sucks for, all of us work. So I don't know how much you were able to actually like watch the game, but
so I fell victim to the MLB network shutdown or MLB TV shutdown of 2025.
Exactly. Yeah. National disaster.
Did you? So Maddie, I don't know if you got the email or Adam, if you did too. They gave everybody $10 off a $25 order on MLBshop.com.
How gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your $40 hat is now $30.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see.
I'll use it, but
yeah, you're like that's going to be the Campbell jersey. Get $10 off that.
Now it's only $150.
But I mean, because I'm in Texas, I had to listen to the game too. So so I didn't actually get to see Crochet's pitches. I mean, what did you guys think of whatever little bits you did end up seeing of him?
So I think it came back on in the third inning. So caught 2 innings of his start realistically. It came on during, or maybe it was during the home half of the second. And I thought he got squeezed a lot. He really only threw 2 pitches. He didn't really throw his cutter a whole lot. He didn't really throw his changeup a whole lot. I don't know if that was him just trying to kind of figure out, okay, now I'm here. It's not spring training anymore. This counts. So I thought that was interesting because I don't remember him doing that. I didn't keep up with the White Sox really last year, but I don't remember him doing that at any point last year. I know that's a shocker. But hey, at least they got the Angels to put in a position player on opening day to pitch against them. That's got to be some sort of record. But I thought Crochet got squeezed really, really bad on Thursday. I thought he pitched pretty well and was not getting calls.
I think as
His
far as like
fastball looked good.
Yeah, it had good life to
looking
it.
at Thomas Nestico's report card.
Mhm.
Yeah, the fastball clocked in at 96.4 miles per hour, so that's good. And he only recorded 4 strikeouts, but as Alex was saying, the umps just weren't calling in his favor.
Yeah.
It is sort of interesting to see him, as a Red Sox pitcher when such a big deal was made last year about, how the Red Sox were like the off-speed pitch kings of, Major League Baseball. And then, you have this guy come out and, like you guys were saying, he was very fastball heavy for this first start. So I wonder, do you think that this is like a new Red Sox, turning over a new leaf, and we're going to see a lot more fastball reliant team than we did last year? Or is it just Crochet?
That's a good question.
I mean, Crochet and Chapman obviously are the two guys that you would sort of expect to be they're probably going to be somewhere around 50%, if not higher, of fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
But I do kind of wonder about the rest of the team. Again, in stadium, I didn't get to see exactly what Fitz, what his pitch mix was. But what do you guys think?
He was fastball reliant, but he wasn't throwing as hard until the end of the second turn and the beginning of the third turn through the lineup. He wasn't throwing as hard as he was in spring training. I think that this will kind of guarantee that he doesn't see a lineup for a third time for a little while. But at the same time, I believe that you ride the hot hand, and he looked very, very good going into that inning. So I don't blame them for leaving him out there. I don't think this was Cora hanging him out to dry or anything like that. I think that it's like, okay, well, he's done this. Let's see if he can do it one more time. And so far, he couldn't.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you need to see what you got this first time through. I mean, that's why I think that, none of us really seem like we are really thinking that the Red Sox are going to, have a 250 winning percentage.
Social media is insane.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm saying we personally don't think that they're going to maintain a 250 win percentage throughout the year or anything. So these guys are still trying to figure it out and stuff. But yeah, I think you're probably right. It's like most pitchers in this modern era, he's probably a 2 times through the order kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as to not make it sound like that's a bad thing or something. I think that,
that's probably modern baseball.
Yeah, probably most guys are going to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other big highlights that jumped out to you guys over the weekend? We touched on Wilyer a little bit. He's definitely been a shining point. Campbell was a very, very shining point of the series so far. Slayton got the first save.
I did think of you when I saw that. Yeah. Hail Slayton.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure Chapman is going to get a lot more save opportunities. They obviously put him in there, to try to keep at bay the bats in the 8th, and so that's why that happened. But Chapman looked pretty good. I didn't feel immediate concern. Following along on that inning, I was like, oh, okay, well, he didn't come close to walking the bases loaded or anything. So consider that sort of a victory. So
that's a big victory.
Yeah. I will say personal highlights for me. I know I have talked some smack about Globe Life Field before. The stadium has not gotten any more beautiful or anything, but they have.
You got that 2-foot burrito?
I did not get the 2-foot burrito. I mean, thank you for suggesting it, but I didn't do that. But a couple of things I did notice. They previously, I have stated that they had easily the worst in-stadium hot dog I've ever had, but they've stopped boiling their hot dogs and they now grill them.
Oh.
And that does make a big difference. So, great for them. You would have
You're not
thought
big on hot dog water?
Well, I was going to say, you would have thought in Texas they would have been grilling all along, but no, that is something new this year, and it was appreciated. And then they actually set up smoker stations in like garage bays, so the smokers were actually outside, and they were serving both brisket sandwiches and Texas ribeye sandwiches. And so I got one yesterday and one today, and I like the brisket sandwich, and I'm not usually a huge brisket guy, but it was very good. So I have to give credit where credit's due. Globe Life Field, you heard my complaints and you addressed them. So that's great. Good for you guys, and good for the fans of Texas. You guys will eat significantly better this year.
At some point this season, we're going to get you to get that 2-foot burrito.
I mean, maybe if my fiance goes away for a while, like maybe I will order that. But my back just doesn't want me to sleep on the couch for that extended period of time. But yeah, it was it was a fun weekend. Even though it wasn't great. Highlights wise, I mean that was probably the biggest highlights I saw besides the Campbell home run. There just weren't a lot of other big Red Sox plays to really get that excited about.
I think the thing that kind of stood out to me that I really liked was not that they had a ton of opportunity, but they were very aggressive on the base paths when they were on base. And I love to see that. I thought that we were very, very good at being aggressive last year. And if we can keep that up, Duran can steal bags. Bregman swiped a bag today. Story can steal bags. Rafael can steal bags. Campbell can steal bags. Hamilton may lead the league in steals as a utility player. Like it's going to get to the point where you've really got 2-3 people on that roster that aren't. And Wong has proven in the past that he can also steal. It's going to come down to Casas and Devers. Can't.
Yeah, Wong had a steal today, right? And I thought he looked really good on that stolen base too.
His defense looks really good so far too.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that we had talked about how Narvaez is sort of like the defensive standout catcher, and but like we all thought Wong would be like the better offensive catcher. And then the Red Sox first error of the season was Narvaez. Yep. It's like, of course, this is what happens.
That's how that goes. Yep.
But I mean, having Narvaez in for Saturday's game, I didn't think that he played badly. Besides, the one error, he looked like a backup catcher that is, probably okay to play once to twice a week. So
he can sub in every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that Wong is going to be Wong is going to be a very good catcher, maybe the best catcher in the league this year. So
I think it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
We for those of you that maybe don't know, there's a lost episode of the Talk Sox podcast where we spent like a good 10 minutes talking about how we thought Wong was going to be maybe the breakout candidate of the roster. So
I like that you say, for those of you that don't know, it's like, are we just talking to Brock at this point? Like the only other person that knows, like
Davey, my dad.
The only people that know that episode got scrapped. Yeah, I know. I considered, I was like, should we go back through bold predictions again? But I don't know. Maybe the ship has sailed. We also on that lost broadcast had had a long discussion about Yoshida, and more stuff has come out about Yoshida. So you want
about how we felt so bad for him.
Yeah, we felt so
That's what
bad
it
for
boiled
him.
down to.
We the Red Sox, it seemed like we're doing him dirty, and now
Because that was just after the news came that he was going to start in AAA. And so since then, now he has a back injury that has required him to see a specialist in Boston. There are already calls for Yoshida to be reinstated and put back on the roster, and to put Devers on the IL.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure like some people think that this is a like phantom injury kind of thing already. Like, is that like where do you guys
I've
stand?
seen that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, if Devers' shoulders are giving him issues, I would think holding the bat higher would be more stress on his shoulders rather than lower at eye level.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people will always speculate whether or not somebody's injured. I don't know, to be quite honest.
And we're not going to unless Yoshida comes out and is like, "Hey guys, I'm healthy. Like, I don't know what's going on."
I wonder like what would be the end game of like taking him out of the Worcester lineup and like making him go to Boston. You know, it doesn't really serve the Red Sox very well for him to do that.
Probably let you put him on the 60-day IL. Which means that he doesn't count on the 26-man now.
Yeah,
and on the 40, like it opens his spot on the 40, and
I mean, and the thing is, like, and then he has to come off of it eventually. You know, it's
right.
not going to be a thing where you can stash him there all season, and then you have the exact same thing later in the season, and he has even less trade value at that point because
I
he
honestly think the hope
season.
is that you will see some National League team that has had an injury in their outfield that is like, we just need anybody. And I think the Red Sox will end up paying like $15 million a year of this season down just to get him off the roster at this point. And that could be St. Louis. It could be, it won't be a big market team like the Dodgers or the Cubs or something like that. But I think the Brewers make a lot of sense. Maddie, on the last episode, we talked about Philly. I don't know how he would respond to that pressure, but I think that Philly does make a ton of sense for him. If it was a free agent situation, I could see that for sure.
And, you know, on that lost episode, I had brought up the possibility of the Yankees, since they are missing their DH, but they don't appear to need any.
Who needs a DH when you have torpedo bats?
I mean, do you want to talk about torpedo bats in any type of
how
like
stupid they
in-depth?
are?
Like,
we can get into that.
do they actually make a difference? Like, are we actually thinking that is what's going on? Is that
I think yesterday, which if you're not listening to this on Sunday, which is impossible, that would be Saturday. I think that was them just taking aim at Nestor Cortez. I think they solely just wanted to embarrass him.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Williams hasn't exactly looked like his classic self so far, but that was certainly.
I've always gotten the feeling that Nestor was unpopular in the Yankees clubhouse. Like, he just strikes me as a guy who's not fun to be around. And while the Yankees are all prim and proper and buttoned up and everything, like, I feel like you, at least behind closed doors, want to like who you're playing baseball with. And Nestor just seems like a guy that you're probably not going to get along with.
I mean, you could say that about the entire Yankees roster, except for maybe Cody Bellinger. He seems like a really cool dude to hang out with. But other than him, I wouldn't drink a beer with any of them, personally.
I mean, maybe that's just because we're Red Sox fans that we don't feel that way. I'm sure someone thinks that like Austin Wells or something would be a great to have a beer with or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you guys what you thought of other games opening day weekend, what other things you paid attention to this weekend. And I mean, obviously torpedo bats and that huge Saturday game for the Yankees had to be one of the things that caught most Red Sox fans' eyes.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the Cardinals look like they have a roster that is somewhat competitive, especially with all the talk over the offseason about how, I mean, they fired effectively their entire minor league coaching staff and are trying to rebuild the program from the ground up, which I think Heim will do very well with, as he did here in Boston. But, I mean, they throttled the Twins. And the Twins are supposed to be the odds-on favorite out of this AL Central this year, which, I mean, I think that's underselling the Guardians, but but the Cardinals, I mean, they're not going to win the NL Central by any means. I don't think that they make the playoffs, but they've got kind of a youth injection going on right now outside of Arenado, and you've got Lars Nootbaar is playing in a contract year. And I think that he's probably going to play out of his mind this year. And I think that he will end up staying in St. Louis. I don't think he leaves. But that was very shocking to see them kind of come out guns blazing and just really put it to a team that, has been at least sniffing the playoffs for the last handful of years.
Especially because the Twins, like, their strong suit is really supposed to be their pitching. And then, like, if, it's sort of like if their offense stays healthy, which is always a big if, like, then that's when, they could be like the favorite to win the division. But yeah, I mean, good on St. Louis, because I don't think a lot of people had them as, having that kind of offense that would beat a good pitching staff. So,
yeah.
I mean, just to circle back on the Yankees a little bit, they obviously scored a ton of runs. 15, is that what it was yesterday? But also, like, just a ton of errors. And so it is going to be it's going to be interesting to watch, because I think that as much as the Brewers have previously been a like pitching forward organization, this year it feels like their pitching has actually probably taken quite a step back, especially with Devin Williams gone now. And so you're talking about a much lesser pitching staff, but a team that actually, like, offensively might be pretty decent. And we saw them score 9 runs in a loss, obviously, on Saturday. So I think that there's, if you're giving up 9 runs to the Brewers, who, have a decent offense, but certainly aren't known as an offensive team, I do sort of think that maybe this, opening series for the Yankees looks really good on paper, but maybe we shouldn't think that, this entire season they're going to average more than 10 runs a game.
Judge is going to go 3 home runs and 4 at bats every game.
Yeah.
Even Yankees fans aren't high on this offensive, breakout. Like Adam said, they scored a ton of errors, and we'll see.
Yeah. They still don't scare me. I still don't think that they're going to be very competitive in the East. The first homer of the season was a homer in one ballpark and one ballpark alone. So, I mean, Jazz will never probably again this season have a 2-homer game. Goldschmidt, while he homered yesterday, I don't think has much more than maybe 10 more left in him this season. I just, that's great that they put it on Nestor and embarrassed him a little bit. And I don't know, third at best in the division, I think.
And any thoughts on Tampa Bay and their like winning record so far?
A semi hometown boy hit that walk-off home run for the Rays for me. He's from a town about an hour to the west of me. So
really?
that was cool to see. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, had some buddies that were texting me about it. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's super cool. You always like to see, you know, people from, and there's been a couple guys from my town who have made the majors, or at least have gotten into like the minors. And then there's been one who played a few seasons of Major League Ball. And so that's always cool. But to see somebody hit a walk-off is always fun. And for him to be semi-local, and I don't remember doing it, but I very likely was on the PA for at least one of his high school games at some point. So that was cool. But
we're thinking that they were playing the Rockies, and so the Rockies going to Rockies. Is that basically?
I always want the Rockies to be so good. If the Rockies, so the Rockies could hire me as their GM, I would only want like $150,000, far less than their GM is making now. And I would just put nothing but absolute nuke hitters on that roster and just go to town. Like, when we're not in Colorado, it's not going to be fun baseball, but man, when we're at home, it's like 18 homer games.
Yeah. And you know, seeing all of the
plus Chris Bryant.
Yeah. because you can't get rid of that contract at this point.
God.
But seeing all of the Steinbrenner Field conversion to Tampa Bay, you know, field has been interesting to see too.
Was it Ray's Town or something stupid like that?
Yeah. And they were saying that all the signage was like made at a like Office Depot, like a local Office Depot printed out all of their signage for it.
It's just regular printer paper just stapled over.
So, you know, I think that is going to be something interesting to watch, and you know, we'll see how that goes. But I don't know if I really saw any evidence, at least for this first series, that it plays like a, you know, minor league park, or that, you know, someone is going to hit like 50 to 60 bombs on the Rays because of playing there. I think it is.
If a Rosarena was still there, then probably.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't see them having like an offensive force that's really going to do that for them. So
no. How sad is it that we're in 2025 and there are two major league teams playing in AAA stadiums this year?
I mean, for Tampa Bay, obviously
that's beyond their control. Like, I'm not trying to talk trash on it, but it is kind of depressing.
It's depressing because, like, since they essentially like told Tampa Bay that they are not accepting their stadium deal, it's sort of like, oh, okay, so they're now just going to use this as an excuse to like move somewhere, probably, you know, in all likelihood out of the state of Florida. And then, you know, obviously whatever's going on with the Athletics is
so I don't know if we talked about this. So, you know, I was out in Vegas a couple weeks ago and made a point to go by where the Tropicana used to be, where the A's stadium is going to be. And it is a tiny, comparatively, piece of land. I have no idea how, like, there. So I was talking to an Uber driver about it, and they were telling me that the goal is to have the A's stadium, Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play, and T-Mobile Arena where the Golden Knights play, all walkable. And technically it will be. But man, like that stadium is going to be tiny. And the casinos and the hotels that are around it, it's not on the end of the strip where like the Strat and stuff is, like the not great end of the strip, but it's down by Mandalay Bay and Luxor and Excalibur, and it's an end of the strip that is just not. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to drive people to that end of the strip, but like we walked into the Luxor and I could count on like mine and my wife's hands how many people were in the casino. Like, if you're gonna put it on the strip, like put it on the strip. Like like full send it, like smack in the middle by Caesars. Like do something cool with it. And Vegas it's a place that my wife and I go every year. So once the A's are there, like we will go sometime during the season, and I will go to a game there. We will probably plan it around a Sox strip. But the other thing is, I was talking to some other Uber drivers and some Vegas locals at different restaurants, and I was like, okay, so you're Golden Knights fans? And like, absolutely. I was like, okay, are you Raider fans? And like, no, not really. Like, we didn't grow up Raider fans, younger generations maybe. And I was like, okay, so what's your feeling on the A's? And they were like, I don't care. Like, I love baseball and I don't care.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. So they're counting on tourists to come in to fill the stadium. That's 100% what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you are the actual demographic for the A's, is like the guys who like baseball.
It kills me. It's a storied franchise. Like,
I know.
Like a buddy of mine, they're coming to St. Louis over Labor Day weekend, and we're off that day because we're teachers. Like, we're going on Labor Day because I wish we could have gone last year when they were still the Oakland A's, but I want to see them before they make the Vegas move, because I think that outside of going to a game out there or two, I won't care when the A's come to St. Louis anymore. Like, it's taking that prestige off of them, and I hate that.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to the Oakland Coliseum last season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have some friends that live out there. So I know, Maddie, you've been to many more baseball stadiums than I have, but I have some friends that live out there, and I really wanted to make it a point to actually like go to an A's game before they became this transient being that they are going to be for a while. So it was cool to see. It was despite it being towards the end of the season, so them not being very good, with the exception of maybe Rooker and Lawrence Butler.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like it was a really fun experience. Like, the Oakland fans still, came out. They still were tailgating in the parking lot and stuff. It was a really great atmosphere. And, my fiance was with me, and she was like, "Why are they closing this place?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't understand either." Because when you're
terrible
walking around,
ownership.
Yeah, because when you're walking around it, it doesn't read as like dump stadium,
Mm-hmm.
It reads as like an old stadium. But like, growing up going to Fenway and stuff, I was like, like, obviously I wasn't there when it was raining and like sewage was backed up or whatever they complain about, and I saw absolutely no raccoons, but like, it was it was.
Were you disappointed?
Raccoons can be cute, so maybe. But yeah, I mean, it was a great atmosphere, a nice place, and yeah, I felt like super bad for all of those people, and yes, I don't blame you. I don't think you should give them any gate money, any visitor gate money or anything. It's just not there. It was a bad situation, but
yeah.
I'm lucky that I got to go and see the Eckersley like hallway that they had at the stadium kind of thing. It was really cool.
So, Alex, when you drove by the construction site, was there a lot of equipment there?
No.
Any equipment? No.
Okay. Because
it was pretty, like, they had dug some stuff out, and there were a few like bigger things on there, but like I don't know how much you guys keep up with like Las Vegas in general, but like the Mirage just recently closed, and they're building a Hard Rock hotel on the Strip, like the guitar-shaped one, the one that's shaped like a Les Paul, and that has significantly more progress on it. And the Mirage, like the casino part of the Mirage, was taken down less than 6 months ago, whereas the Tropicana has been down for like almost 2 years. So like the ground is there, but there's just not a whole lot of activity on it. And we were by it during the week. That was one thing when we were like planning things out. I was like, okay, I actually want to drive by, like go by it while there should be people there working. And I didn't see any.
So I've been following the A's construction a little bit because I work in construction, and the project is supposed to be complete by 2028. It has like a $1.75 billion budget, and the stadium's only supposed to seat 33,000 people. So it'll be a smaller stadium. But I was thinking that with all the tariffs now on steel, I wonder if the budget will go up. I'm seeing that with clients I'm dealing with right now, and just even like finding workers for the job, that's also going to be affected by what's going on in the world.
Oh, absolutely. It really blew my mind. We were on like a tram because we stayed kind of middle strip. That's where we try to stay. And so we were on a tram from the Luxor down to Excalibur, because that's how you get to like back to MGM Grand and into the middle of the strip. And we were talking to some people who were from Alaska, and I kind of told them, I was like, oh, like I write for this website and stuff, and they're like, okay, so like, do you care about what's going on out here? And I was like, as a baseball fan, yes. Like I think that because they have the Aviators, which is a AAA team in Vegas, and they're very well supported. Like if you walk around, there are people in Aviators hats. There are still people who walk around in like the old school, like Alien, like 51ers hats and stuff. Like, like I think that that's super cool. I collect minor league hats, just hats in general, which I'm not wearing. But I was kind of amazed at just how little progress had been made. And like you said, Maddie, like with price increase and, finding people just to do the job, like the like sketches and the architecture designs look beautiful, but a glass ceiling in Vegas is stupid. It's, and I know it's not the entire roof, but it's part of it, and that's going to be absolutely miserable in the summer, when most of the season of baseball takes place. So
yeah, was really reminded here in Texas of like today was warm, but the stadium wasn't bad. But on Saturday night, the stadium was like super hot. And I was like, why is it domed? And it's like actually like as warm, if not warmer than it is outside. Like, what is going on here? So the idea of it like not even being shaded in Vegas is just sort of like insane.
Yeah, it's wild. But I'll eventually pay them money to go see them play baseball there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting perspective, Maddie, though. I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because, obviously they ran into lots of government issues and
ownership issues.
Yeah, and just, not a lot of support on those kind of ends. But I didn't really think about the actual price of it going up so much. So, who knows?
What we're saying, the A's are going to be in Sacramento for the next 10 years.
And, I think that there's a lot of people who believe that too, that believe that the A's aren't going to ever really make the move to Las Vegas. So, I guess that's just even more reason why, Anything else?
Or no, not the A's, the Rays. I don't blame them really for not going forward with a new stadium, just because in areas that are prone to hurricanes, insurance is higher. And I forget the name of the hurricane that, went.
Was it Helene?
Helene? Okay.
Was it Helene? I know.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
It was either Helene or the one right after it.
TBD the name, but I mean, if they want to move somewhere, well, if ownership
Nashville.
decides to sell and they want to move out of Florida, I don't blame them from a financial perspective.
No. And who is all part of that group now? Because Dombrowski's back with the team. There's a group who is actively trying to bring a major league franchise to Nashville. Like I think Eddie Vedder is part of it, but like Dombrowski was there. Theo
I was gonna say
involved
it used to
some,
be Dombrowski. Dombrowski was
yeah,
like the big guy, and then he just didn't think it was gonna end up happening. So that's why he ended up going to the Phillies job. So
my best friend lives in Nashville, and I've never been to a Sounds game, which is the AAA affiliate that's there, but he goes all the time, and like he's not a big baseball guy. He likes the Cardinals because he grew up around here. But he was like, it is just like it's cheap tickets, it's good food, like, and the city shows up to support. And like Nashville is technically Braves country, but I think that if the Rays or an expansion team were to go to Nashville, I think that it would be very, very well supported, and it gives the South another team that's not the Braves to kind of. Because now you're going to pull from the Carolinas, and you're not going to get Georgia to forget who the Braves are, but your Alabamas and Louisianas and stuff, like it's a little bit of an easier trip for some of those people to Nashville than it would be to Atlanta. So I think Nashville makes a lot of sense if the Rays are going to move.
And you've heard Portland bandied around quite a bit for a major league.
Montreal gets brought up, but I think that's a nostalgia thing.
And with U.S. and Canadian relations doing so well these days, it doesn't feel like that's going to happen. If anything, it feels more like Toronto might secede from the MLB. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think that a lot of people think that with the consolidation of the minors and stuff, that expansion is definitely sort of on the horizon. So
yeah, I think so.
It will be something to kind of look for, because at this point, with what they've done to the draft and what they've done to the minors, there's a lot of people that probably would be pretty decent baseball players that aren't getting a chance to play even in the minors at this point. So
yeah.
Sort of
I think the one thing that we kind of didn't like super delve into is the Campbell extension. We just kind of touched on it briefly. What do you guys think? Do you guys have like maybe an idea of what that extension would look like? Rafaela's for a reference point. Rafaela's was 8 years, $50 million.
Yeah, and it has to be, because Rafaela was never as highly touted as Kristian Campbell has been.
No, absolutely not.
And he wasn't even really close. So
I think the years are right. I think 8 years sounds right for a Campbell extension. I could see them maybe going 10, but I think that we're talking at least 150, maybe 200.
Yeah, I was going to say 8 years at 100. I still don't think I don't think that gets it done. I think it has to be higher than that. So yeah, probably
Jackson
at least
signed an 8-year, $82 million contract. So
yes,
I don't know about 150, but ownership has money, and it's not mine. So
yeah, exactly. I would love to see them actually spend that much money on an extension, but who is to say? No one at FanFest is able to boo them. So will that be in the cards? Who's to say?
We need the Winter Classic to come back to Fenway.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're probably. I think
150 gets it done.
Without a doubt. I think ownership is probably trying to aim for something more along the lines of like 8 and 120, 8 and 140.
Yeah, probably.
Is probably what they're going for. And will that get it done? I don't know. He's playing well already, so you want to get it done as quickly as possible before he thinks he's going to be Rookie of the Year, and then it just keeps going up and up and up.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's the Crochet argument too, though. It should have gotten done before the season started.
Yeah, and I think
I don't think that he's legitimate in his beginning of the season. I'm not talking to it anymore because it is his agent. Like,
yeah,
Cora, and I wrote about this. Like, Cora came out and said he was like, or Sam Kennedy said he's like, we got deals done with Pedroia at the All-Star break. We got deals done with Buchholz in April. Cora said he wasn't going to sign anything once the season started, and we got it done right after the All-Star break last year. Like, to me, it's a bargaining tool. Like, give me your best offer right now. Let's see what happens. But I also think that if he pitches well, that best offer will go up, and then he is more likely to accept it.
Yeah, you're probably right in the way that they're talking about those two previous deals getting done at the All-Star break. That is probably the next time I would see there being any type of opening. But yeah, then at that point, being a year and a half away from free agency, and if he's having an all-star caliber first half of the season, we have to see, because he's a confident dude, that's a cool thing about him, but also a not cool thing when you are owners trying to pay him as little money as possible.
The Red Sox way.
It's easy to pick on the Red Sox and say that. Yeah, it's easy to pick on the Red Sox and say that it's the Red Sox way, but it is literally every owner's way except
the Dodgers,
the Mets and Dodgers. Yeah, those are the two. Speaking of Mets and Dodgers, are the Dodgers going to lose a game this season? What do you guys think?
No.
How many?
How many? 162-0.
Yeah.
Did you know when that happens, they just give you the World Series trophy?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It is, they have just looked so good so far. And you think about everything that came out about Mookie being sick and losing 15 pounds and, all that kind of stuff. And the team just keeps rolling. Mookie looks good despite all of it. It is sort of incredible to watch. And I guess I sort of thought I would probably tune into a bunch of Dodgers games anyways to see the spectacle. But with the way that they're playing, it's sort of like, oh, maybe I'll be tuning into a lot of Dodgers games.
Yeah, that's the one. Like, normally I hate West Coast games, but right now, okay, well, the Sox game's over. Dodgers game is just starting. Let's go ahead and turn the Dodgers on.
especially in these weird time slots where yesterday's Red Sox game was at least 6 o'clock local time kind of thing, here. So it's it was over by 9.
Yeah.
So you still have an hour to 2 hours left of a Dodgers game. It's, perfect.
Yeah, I might be hopping on the Dodgers bandwagon. I'll admit it. They're just a really fun team to watch. And they have a lot of good vibes going around.
I get so frustrated when people are like the Dodgers are ruining baseball. No. The Dodgers are playing the CBA the exact way it was written. They're does it suck that they're taking all the best players in the game? Sure, because I would like some of those players. But the only people you should be mad at are your ownership group, because they could do what the Dodgers are doing. They're just not doing it.
Yeah, and as these extensions get done or not done for the Red Sox, we will also be able to, see that in motion, because that is going to be the exact thing. It's going to be, do we have the ability to lock up players long term by actually paying them, or are we getting a lot of 2-year guys? Enjoy Crochet for 2 years, enjoy Bregman for 1 or 2 years, kind of thing.
You have to imagine the sell the team group will become deafening. So my thing with Crochet is, if he's wanting $300+ million to pitch, I don't disagree with not extending him. Because giving up Teal and Montgomery is tough, but Red Sox are a big market, and sometimes you have to throw that weight around anyway. And so if it took giving up 2 of your best prospects to get 2 years for a window of contention that you think is wide open right now, okay. Cease and Michael King are both going to be free agents the next couple of seasons. Zach Gallen, like, if it's going to be $300 million for Crochet, or I can have 2 of those, give me 2 of those.
The thing about Crochet compared to Michael King, Dylan Cease, and Zach Gallen is that he is, like, I think about 3 years younger than those guys.
Yes.
So there's more of an incentive to buy out his younger years.
Absolutely.
Versus,
Absolutely.
Those dudes in their 30s.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. I think that you've, like you said, Maddie, like, it's not my money, so I really don't care how they spend it. And if I had access to that kind of money, like, I would have given him probably $300 million already just to keep him here. But they're far shrewder businessmen than I am, and they have far smarter baseball minds in their ears than I do. And so I think that if especially if it's Theo, is like, hey, here's where your cutoff for him needs to be, and whether that be 250, whatever that number is, like, I think that sometimes you got to play that risk. And if we are in contention for the next 2 years with Crochet without an extension, I'm okay with that. Do I want him here long term? Yes. And I don't want this to come off as I don't. But if there's a longer game to play here, because our contention window is going to be open for 10 years with Campbell and Meyer and Anthony, and I'll put Bayo on that list. And, we've got guys in high A that look very promising. Like, okay, let's divvy up that 300 to a couple different people, then lock it all into one who has had Tommy John already, who has had an injury concern. He's not going to throw 103 forever.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
I mean, Cease obviously has been a starting pitcher for his whole career, so he's, thrown quite a bit. But,
mm-hmm.
I think that the other thing about Crochet and King to some extent is that not having spent their entire career so far as starting pitchers, you do have the potential, at least, that they have a lot more bullets left in them, So,
yeah, absolutely.
It's an argument for it. But, it'll be interesting to see how those conversations develop, and just to see how his season goes, because, like we said, he looked good the first start.
If he gets that ump crew every time he's on the mound, it's going to be a terrible season.
He did okay, even with the ump crew.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to
by far our best,
and he should have had at least 3 to 4 more strikeouts.
Yeah. So, what are I guess the last thing that I wanted to touch on is, what are your hopes for Sean Newcomb's start tomorrow?
I want him to do well. He's a hometown boy. It's such a good story.
Do you think he's like a 5-inning guy, or do you think they even let him go that deep in?
I think he's going to get 2 turns. I think had Fitz not given up 2 home runs today, I think you could have made the argument for him to go 3 turns, but I don't think either one of them gets more than 2, maybe 2.5 turns through the opposing rotation until we get Giolito and Bayo back.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we just have to hope that he keeps up.
Adley Rutschman looks like a man possessed.
He's on fire right now.
Oh my gosh.
It is. Considering how his season ended last season, I don't know if I really saw this coming, like, right out of the gate. But he has been playing well, to say the least.
Let's hope that stops tomorrow.
I mean, I guess when I talked about other things around the league that have caught our eye, we probably should have mentioned Rutschman as looking, like an MVP or something already. So that is going to be an interesting series. Like, you hope that the Red Sox can really recalibrate, but
you've got to take advantage of poor pitching.
Yeah, and the Orioles, so far haven't been too bad, but they don't have the as headlining names pitching as we think the Red Sox do. So hopefully
torpedo bats.
I'm gonna have to do some more torpedo bat. I'm gonna have to look up more about them, and we're gonna have a full discussion next time.
All I've got to say is, if you're hitting on the logo, which is where the wood is, where they've added all the extra wood, if you're hitting on the logo, you suck. And I'm talking to you, Anthony Volpe. He's the whole reason that these bats were invented. They were tired of him getting sawed off, and so now here we are, torpedo bats. Anthony Volpe sucks and hits it off the logo every time.
Sorry, Anthony, and your family, if you're listening.
No, I stay with my chest.
Another thing I did notice actually being in the park was that the Red Sox pitchers broke a lot of bats. And I don't know if that's
you gotta have torpedoes.
If we're pitching more inside or we're pitching with higher velocity or whatever, but there were a lot of broken bats today that I did actually notice. And
I thought we came inside a ton today.
Okay. So it was an intentional thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was just like, wow, this is second, third, fourth I've seen. So, yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to discuss?
I've tried to figure out a way to bring up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I just couldn't do it.
Yes, I know. I didn't add him to the rundown specifically for that purpose.
No, I can be honest with you. I have no idea what his season looks like.
I don't either. I actually considered looking it up before we started, but I was like, look, if he's done something, Alex will know. And so
I think I ran him on an underdog parlay that hit on opening day, but I can't even remember what it was. So
Of course you did.
I ran Hamilton to steal a bag that day too. So,
well, I think as long as he's in the lineup, you have a decent chance of that happening.
Yeah,
because seeing him in person too, that man is fast.
Yeah, when he was doing warm-ups in St. Louis last year, I was like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, because I've seen
the quickest base-to-base time I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I've seen Duran run in person before, and so so I kind of had that as the baseline for me. But even having seen Duran, I was like, oh, Hamilton is
I think it's because Duran's running style is so awkward. He runs spread out, and Hamilton is very he's tight and to the body, and
he's
the fastest person I've ever seen.
Also, if you are just listening to the podcast, you're really missing some good visual demonstrations from Alex of exactly what.
I talk with my hands a lot. It's the teacher in me.
Yeah, you got to make it a spectacle for the kids. I get it. So, all the kids.
What you guys really missed was the last episode where I was demonstrating catcher techniques.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We're gonna have to bring back you're gonna have to study the catchers and tell us what they're doing back there with a lot more hand motions.
I can do that. That's not a problem.
Perfect. All right, let's wrap it up.
All right. Any final thoughts that we haven't covered so far?
Oh, any final articles anyone has running anytime soon?
I'm sure I'll have something, a couple pieces this week. I don't have anything right now, but I'll have something.
Perfect. Glad I asked. I don't have anything
ideas. Either. I get hot take ideas, and I'm like, people will comment on this.
All right.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up. So thanks for listening to the Talk Sox podcast, and we will catch you guys next Sunday night.
Okay.